The story begins in a snowy forest, where a pink-haired boy named Dada is running for his life from a blood-sucking demon. The forest is full of these demons, and several soldiers were sent here to kill them. Almost all of those soldiers are now dead, and their corpses are scattered across the battlefield. Dada runs as fast as he can while carrying a large box, but one of the demons finally catches up to him and knocks him down. With no strength left, he crawls into a small hole and tries to push himself deeper inside, while shouting for his partner, Xylo, to hurry up and kill the monster. Just before the demon can eat him, Xylo flies down from above and kills it instantly with his knife. After that, Xylo tries to hold Dada still and stop the bleeding, but Dada is in extreme pain. He keeps moving around and tells Xylo to just kill him already, saying they'll resurrect him later anyway. Xylo refuses and says he doesn't want to carry Dada's dead body all the way back. He then hits Dada to snap him back to his senses and tells him not to take resurrection so lightly. Xylo explains that resurrection isn't some easy miracle. It's a harsh process that pulls their souls out of hell and forces them back into their bodies. It also causes serious side effects, damaging memories and a person's sense of who they are. Xylo starts to wonder if Dada has forgotten this because he's died too many times already. After hearing this, Dada finally calms down. Xylo then heats up his blade and presses it against Dada's wound to seal it using thermofusion. The pain is unbearable, and Dada screams loudly through the forest. Once the bleeding stops, the two of them sit beside a small fire. Xylo tells Dada that the demons, called fairies, are moving together in an army of more than 5,000. Dada is shocked and asks how just the two of them are supposed to face that many monsters. Xylo tells him they aren't meant to fight them all. The forest will soon be consumed by demon blight, so their job is to support the holy knights until they can safely retreat. After that, they'll retreat as well. Xylo knows Dada is terrified, so he warns him not to even think about running away. He reminds Dada about the markings on their necks, which would kill them permanently if they disobey orders or try to escape. This is the life they were given, and they have no choice but to accept it. Xylo stands up and says they should leave, but he suddenly notices a strange, mystic coffin nearby. He immediately knows this is Dada's doing. Since Dada is a chronic thief who steals things simply because he can, they prepare themselves and open the coffin, expecting to find the body of a noble or a high-ranking knight. Instead, they're shocked to see a goddess inside. Dada has no idea what a goddess is, so Xylo explains that goddesses were living weapons created many years ago to fight the demon lord. Dada remembers hearing stories about them before, but he never imagined one would look like such a cute girl. Suddenly, a loud horn echoes through the forest. They rush to the edge of a cliff to look around. Xylo thinks it must be a recon unit signaling the other soldiers, but Dada notices a group of holy knights below being overwhelmed by several fairies. Most of the knights are being eaten alive, and only their leader is skilled enough to keep fighting. Seeing this, Dada tells Xylo they should run away and find somewhere to hide. Xylo, however, sees that not all the soldiers are dead yet. Some of them are still barely alive and fighting. He decides that the best choice is to help at least half of the holy knights escape, since saving more people will greatly increase the mission's success. He makes up his mind and declares that they'll save them before the sun goes down. Just then, their plan changes. The goddess inside the coffin suddenly wakes up and calmly walks toward them. She greets Xylo, calling him the knight in charge of her. She says she'll help them defeat the fairies below and guarantee their victory, as long as they praise her and rub her head. Hearing this, Xylo feels certain of one thing: that endless desire for praise and attention proves without a doubt that she's truly a goddess. The goddess introduces herself as Teoritta, a guardian goddess whose role is to bring miracles to people in need. She slowly stretches out her hand toward Xylo and tells him that he should rely on her as much as he wants, because protecting and supporting him is her life's purpose. However, Xylo does not look excited at all after hearing this. Instead, he looks annoyed and pretty pissed off. He finds the whole situation completely ridiculous because he hates goddesses and absolutely hates the idea of relying on anyone else. Xylo bluntly tells Dada to keep an eye on her, then immediately jumps off the cliff without hesitation to go save the knights below. He does this because he prefers to work alone alone and see himself as a lone wolf who does not need help from anyone. Dada, who naturally has very sharp eyesight, pulls out his binoculars and uses them to carefully scan the battlefield. He then gives Xylo directions, telling him where the monsters are gathered the most and where the fighting is the heaviest. As Xylo glides down the cliff, the next thing he notices is Teoritta suddenly appearing right beside him in midair. Irritated, he asks her what she thinks she is doing here. Teoritta calmly reminds him that he is her knight, which makes it her duty to stay by his side at all times, protect him no matter what, and make sure he achieves victory. Hearing this only makes Xylo angrier, since he hates the thought of depending on another person. He tells her that he does not need her help at all. Right after that, Xylo seals his blade with intense heat and throws it straight at one of the fairies. The blade explodes on impact, causing a massive explosion that shakes the area. The blast successfully draws the attention of the other fairies, pulling them towards Xylo and away from the Holy Knights, exactly as he planned. Xylo then tells Teoritta to find a tree and hide behind it, while he takes care of the monsters on his own. Xylo charges straight into the fight headfirst, even though he is badly outnumbered. He puts on an incredible performance, cutting down every single fairy that attacks him without hesitation. Dada eventually joins the battle as well. He is clearly scared at first, but he manages to gather his courage and defeat one of the fairies by himself, surprising even himself. Meanwhile, Teoritta struggles to keep up with the fast pace of the battle. She quickly becomes exhausted and starts breathing heavily as she tries to move around the battlefield. While Xylo continues fighting, he suddenly gets cut on the leg, which leaves him open to an attack from the side. He is just moments away from being eaten when Dada saves him by firing magic at the attacking fairy. Xylo quickly thanks Dada for the help and immediately rushes toward the next swarm of monsters without slowing down. By the time night falls, all the fairies have finally been defeated. The knights gather around a campfire to rest after the battle. Xylo, completely exhausted from all the fighting, sits down on a nearby rock to catch his breath. The leader of the knights walks over to thank him for his help, but after taking a closer look at the marking on Xylo's neck, his expression suddenly changes. He draws his sword after realizing that Xylo is a penal hero. Being saved by a penal hero could seriously damage their reputation, so the knights are clearly unhappy about it. Teoritta steps forward to defend Xylo, but the knight leader immediately realizes that she is a goddess. The knights begin questioning Xylo about when and how he managed to get his hands on a goddess. Teoritta notices that the situation has suddenly become very tense and starts to regret stepping out at all. A fight is just about to break out when Dada tries to calm everyone down. Before anything can happen, they are suddenly interrupted when their companion Venetum speaks through their communication seal. Venetum announces that the situation has become extremely dangerous. He explains that the Holy Knight's main force has begun advancing toward the demon blight. Xylo shudders in shock when he hears this. Venetum then adds that the soldiers who were regrouping in the forest have already formed a battle line against the demon blight, planning to stop its advance right there. Hearing all of this, Xylo questions the knights about who gave them such reckless and dangerous orders in the first place. However, when he looks at the expressions on their faces, he quickly realizes that no one forced them to do this. This was a decision they made on their own. Their leader openly admits it and says that all of them believe deeply in Commander Kivia's rule and leadership. Because of that belief, they are fully willing to sacrifice their own lives for what they see as the greater good. Venetum speaks up at that moment and explains why letting the Holy Knights die would be an absolute disaster. He tells Xylo that if more than half of the Holy Knights are killed, the hero unit's entire operation would be labeled a massive failure. If that happens, it would be extremely bad for Xylo. He would not simply die. Even after being resurrected, he would be burned at the stake as punishment. Hearing this, Xylo's expression turns serious. He asks Venetum where the Holy Knights are planning to intercept the enemy. Venetum quickly checks his map and answers that the Holy Knights are currently in formation at the safest crossing point along the Persol River. After hearing this, Xylo turns to the Holy Knights and tells them that if they are thinking about regrouping with the main soldiers, they should forget about it. He explains that doing so would only get in the way and make things worse. However, the Holy Knights disagree. They say they are fully prepared to live and die for their commander and refuse to back down. Even so, Xylo advises them to head south and retreat instead. He tells them that he has already driven back the fairies that crushed the guerrilla unit, so pulling back is the smartest option. The leader of the Knights clenches his teeth as he realizes that Xylo is right and that they truly do not have many choices left. The leader then asks Xylo if he really plans to cover their retreat. Xylo answers without hesitation and says that is exactly what he intends to do. He calls out to Dada and tells him to continue the operation as planned and guide the Holy Knights to their retreat point so they can avoid being wiped out. Dada strongly disagrees with this plan because he believes Xylo is risking his own life just to save the Holy Knights. Xylo responds by telling him that there is no other option. If the Holy Knights die, then they are finished as well. Meanwhile, the Holy Knights stationed at the Persil River begin their battle as the monsters finally start to approach. Using their military equipment and formations, they manage to defeat the first wave of monsters. However, the situation quickly becomes more dangerous when it is revealed that the enemy force includes a giant troll. In response, the knights activate their large lightning staff and use it together to bring the massive creature down. From a distance, Xylo and the others watch the battle unfold. Xylo carefully studies the army below and realizes that he does not recognize these soldiers at all. In fact, he has never seen their army crest before. Because of that, Dada believes there is no reason for them to get involved at this point. However, as Xylo continues watching, he notices that the soldiers are slowly being overwhelmed by the growing power and numbers of the fairies. Seeing this, he suggests that they should head down there and offer some support, but when he turns around to speak again, he realizes that Dada is already gone. All that remains is a note Dada left behind. The note tells Xylo to go ahead and do his thing, while Dada goes off on his own to steal anything valuable he can find from the knights. Seeing that Dada pulled a stunt like that, Xylo grits his teeth and swears to himself that he is going to kill Dada the next time he gets his hands on him. His anger barely has time to settle before something else catches his attention. Xylo suddenly spots a large swarm of fairies moving quietly through the air, clearly preparing to ambush Commander Kivia's army from the side. Reacting instantly, Xylo activates a flight seal and shoots through the air toward them. He reaches the swarm just in time and immediately begins attacking. Using his magic knives, he strikes down as many fairies as he possibly can, moving non-stop and without hesitation. The battle drags on for several intense minutes, but Xylo does not slow down. In the end, he manages to completely wipe out the entire swarm by himself. After the fight, Commander Kivia rides up to him on her horse. She looks at him carefully and asks who he is and why he is here on the battlefield. Before Xylo can answer, Teoritta suddenly appears out of nowhere and loudly calls him out for abandoning her earlier. Commander Kivia immediately recognizes Teoritta as a goddess, which only makes her more curious about why a goddess is following this strange man. Xylo looks annoyed and casually pushes Teoritta forward, telling Kivia that he hasn't entered into any sort of pact with her yet. He even says that they can take her if they want. Teoritta, however, has already grown attached to Xylo and does not feel comfortable being separated from him. She stays close to him despite his words. Still, Commander Kivia does not accept this as a proper explanation and demands that Xylo explain exactly what is going on. Xylo turns away instead of answering. He tells her that now is really not the best time for long explanations. As he stares into the distance, he can clearly see the demon lord drawing closer and closer. The danger is obvious. Suddenly, a new wave of demons appears and begins advancing straight toward their position. The soldiers panic when they see the approaching enemies and begin firing their cannons without waiting for orders from Commander Kivia. However, their attacks fail. The demon lord creates a powerful force field that easily deflects the cannon fire. Seeing this, Xylo immediately understands that long-range attacks are useless and that they will have to rely on close combat instead. He quickly asks Commander Kivia if they have a battering ram or a catapult ready to use. Kivia shakes her head and tells him that those weapons are still being prepared back at the capital and have not arrived yet. Commander Kivia briefly considers mobilizing even more units to reinforce the front lines. However, Xylo immediately stops her. He tells her that doing something like that would be a stupid idea because it would only lead to more pointless deaths. It would sacrifice the people carrying the sacred seal and even damage the land itself. The demons continue slowly but surely move closer to their position, and it becomes obvious that the soldiers can no longer hold the front line much longer. Seeing this clearly, Xylo tells Kivia that she needs to order an immediate retreat for her troops. Deep down, Kivia understands that Xylo's plan is the most reasonable and logical option. Even so, she stubbornly refuses to accept it. Instead, she cancels the retreat order and keeps her soldiers on the front line. lines. She is fully prepared to sacrifice her own life and the lives of her soldiers for the sake of her honor. Xylo explains that the main reason he came here in the first place was to support their retreat. If everyone dies here, it will be counted as a failed mission on their side, and the punishment they receive afterward will be severe. Hearing this, Kivia realizes that Xylo is a penal hero. She coldly tells him that she does not care what happens to people like him. In her eyes, penal heroes are filthy criminals who are not even allowed to die properly. On top of that, headquarters already stated that the final judgment belongs to the commander on site. Because of that, Kivia declares her final decision. Her command is for everyone to sacrifice their lives for honor and to turn this battlefield into their grave. Xylo thinks this obsession with honor is complete nonsense, but Kivia firmly explains that for knights, honor is everything that matters. Before their argument can go any further, their conversation is suddenly interrupted by an attack aimed directly at Kivia. She narrowly dodges it at the last second. When she looks up, she sees a massive bug-like demon that begins firing its demon eggs toward the battlefield. As soon as the eggs hit the ground, they instantly hatch and start devouring the soldiers alive. To make things even worse, the regular monsters continue closing in from all sides, turning the situation into a full-scale catastrophe. Kivia shouts orders for her soldiers to hold the front line no matter what. The soldiers obey without hesitation, but it is painfully obvious that they are already at their limit. At the same time, a giant bear troll faces Kivia and prepares to attack her directly. Xylo rushes in at the last possible moment and throws explosives at the troll's back, stopping it for a brief moment. He then leaps forward and drives his knives into the monster's back, trying to kill it. However, this time, the blades snap and break inside the troll's body. Xylo jumps back toward Kivia and the others and quickly warns them that normal attacks do not work on trolls. To defeat them, they will need something far more powerful. Meanwhile, several of the bug demons begin messing with the lightning cannons. One of the cannons tips over and fires wildly, triggering a massive explosion that shakes the entire area. The blast knocks Xylo unconscious for a short moment. When he wakes up, he finds himself lying on the ground. Nearby, he sees Teoritta lying not far away. She desperately begs him to use her power to deal with the situation. She tells him that at this rate, everyone on the battlefield is going to die a horrible and painful death. Xylo slowly struggles to his feet and says that he swore he would never form a contract with a goddess again after what happened last time. However, as he hears the sickening sounds of soldiers being crushed and eaten by monsters, his resolve begins to waver. Teoritta pleads with him again, saying that if this continues, even more people will die. She tells him that using her power is the only way to stop this disaster. Xylo thinks it over for several long moments. Even though he hates the idea with every part of himself, he finally realizes that there is no other choice left. He walks over to Teoritta, cuts his hand open to draw blood, and offers it to her. Teoritta drinks his blood, and in that moment, the contract between them is formed. After the pact is completed, the blood dries up and the wound on Xylo's hand closes on its own. Now that the contract has been formed, Teoritta is finally able to unleash her full power without any limits. As the goddess of the sword, she raises her magic and calls upon her authority. Swords begin to rain down from the sky in overwhelming numbers. Each blade strikes only the monsters with perfect accuracy, completely avoiding every single soldier on the battlefield. Not a single ally is harmed. The monsters that had been so difficult to fight, the ones that took countless lives and pushed the soldiers to the brink of despair, are all wiped out in a single strike from Teoritta. Watching this, Xylo gains a much clearer understanding of just how terrifyingly powerful her ability truly is. The scale of her power is far beyond what he imagined. Teoritta feels extremely proud of herself after seeing the result. She happily turns toward Xylo and asks him to praise her by giving her head rubs. Xylo, however, walks straight past her without stopping and tells her that they still have a lot of work left to do. The first thing they need to deal with is the remaining fairies. Xylo picks up a sword lying on the ground and throws it straight at one of them, killing it instantly. However, more fairies continue to approach. Xylo then tells Teoritta to keep supplying him with swords over and over again. As swords appear one after another, Xylo uses them to quickly wipe out the entire wave of fairies without slowing down. After finishing them off, Xylo looks back and sees that Commander Commander Kivia is still alive. He immediately orders her to gather the uninjured soldiers and have them finish off whatever monsters remain. Kivia is about to lecture him, telling him that he has no authority to give orders like that. However, Xylo cuts her off mid-sentence and tells her that this is necessary to ensure everyone's survival. He adds that he does not plan on dying here, at least not in this way. Xylo then turns his back on her and starts walking away. He says that once everything is over, he is willing to accept whatever punishment or praise comes his way. But for now, their main objective is clear. They must defeat the Demon Lord. Xylo picks Teoritta up in his arms and launches himself straight toward the Demon Lord. On the way there, they notice another wave of fairies moving in their direction. Teoritta offers to handle them herself, but Xylo immediately refuses. He tells her that wasting her power on weak monsters like these would only drain energy she needs for the real fight ahead. With that decided, Xylo holds Teoritta with one arm and takes down the entire wave of fairies by himself in record time. Not long after, the two of them finally come face to face with the Demon Lord. Teoritta believes this is the perfect moment for her to take full control of the battle, since defeating the Demon Lord has always been her lifelong dream. Xylo tells her it is not time yet. He moves closer and provokes the Demon Lord by throwing a knife into one of its legs. The Demon Lord lets out a painful roar in response. Only then does Xylo give Teoritta the signal. He tells her to clear a path. Teoritta raises her power once more and rains swords down from the sky, completely crushing the wave of fairies standing between them and the Demon Lord. With the path cleared, Xylo launches himself upward and confronts the Demon Lord head-on. He is about to give Teoritta his next command, but she already understands what he wants. Without waiting, Teoritta summons a massive mystic sword filled with divine power. Xylo grabs it and hurls it straight into the Demon Lord. The impact causes a violent explosion that shakes the battlefield. Xylo crashes back down to the ground with Teoritta still in his arms. From the looks of it, the Demon Lord appears to be collapsing, finally defeated. However, that hope does not last long. The Demon Lord begins regenerating its body parts and suddenly launches another attack straight at them. In the next moment, Xylo loses consciousness. When he opens his eyes again, he sees Teoritta desperately trying to wake him. She asks him how badly he is hurt, especially after he used his own body to shield her at the last second. Xylo slowly turns his head to the side and is surprised to see Dada standing there, staring at him with his usual calm and casual expression. It turns out that Dada had been off stealing things this whole time and has just returned. This time, he managed to bring back a scorched terrain seal. For the first time in a long while, Xylo is actually glad that Dada stole something, because this seal is exactly what they need to take the Demon Lord down once and for all. Xylo immediately recognizes the model of the seal. It is a type of reactor he is very familiar with, so he knows exactly how it works and how dangerous it can be. Without wasting any time, he jumps high into the air and throws the seal straight into the Demon Lord's body. Right after that, he grabs Dada and Teoritta and leaps away from the area with them just in time. A moment later, the reactor activates and the Demon Lord erupts in a massive explosion that tears its body apart completely. With the Demon Lord destroyed, the remaining fairies begin to scatter in all directions, without a leader to control them anymore. They panic and flee. From above, Xylo and Teoritta watch as the knights below finally realize that the battle is over. The nightmare has finally ended. Xylo has defeated Demon Lords several times before, but this is the first time he has ever seen one go down in such a ridiculous and unexpected way. Even so, he cannot deny the truth. Their victory is only possible because Dada acted like a thief, just as he always does. Xylo decides that later, he will treat Dada to some beer as a way of saying thank you. Meanwhile, Teoritta is still full of energy and clearly wants praise from Xylo now that everything is over. She keeps pestering him and asking for attention. After a while, Xylo finally gives in and is about to rub her head. However, the moment he raises his hand, painful memories rush back to him. He suddenly remembers the former goddess he once had a contract with. Before he can say anything, Commander Kivia suddenly appears behind him. She tells him that he is in serious trouble. She accuses him of stealing a goddess while in transit, taking the scorched terrain seal without permission, and acting on his own to subdue the Demon Lord. Xylo does not argue with her at all. He simply accepts it and says he is ready to face whatever punishment comes his way. Teoritta immediately steps forward and starts defending him. She says that if all of this happened, then their meeting must have been fate. She firmly believes that Xylo is the only knight capable of fully accepting her power power and the only one who can continue defeating demon lords in the future. Hearing this, Kivia is shocked. She then decides to tell Teoritta the truth about Xylo. She explains that he is known as a penal hero because of a serious crime he committed. That crime was killing the goddess he once had a contract with. The scene then shifts back to the past, to the moment Xylo stood in court, being judged for the murder of goddess Senerva, his former goddess. Xylo desperately tries to explain what really happened. He tells them that Senerva was obsessed with praise and validation. She wanted to defeat the demon lord by herself and be celebrated by the entire army. Because of that desire, she pushed herself far beyond her limits. She eventually became defenseless and began to lose her power. Seeing this, Xylo says he chose to end her life to spare her from a much worse fate. He goes on to explain that what happens to a goddess after she loses her power is no small matter. Over time, she would be corrupted by the demon blight and turn into a mindless monster. He warns them that this corruption could even lead to the birth of a demon lord that wields a goddess's power. Xylo insists that Senerva understood this truth as well. She had already begun to feel the corruption setting in, which is why she was the one who gave him permission to kill her, despite everything he says. The judge refuses to believe his story. The judge is convinced that Xylo is nothing more than a dangerous murderer. He completely dismisses the idea that a goddess could be corrupted after losing her power, claiming that no such cases have ever been reported. Xylo continues to argue, trying desperately to convince the court that a corrupted goddess would be one of the most dangerous threats imaginable. Before he can say anything more, the guards suddenly restrain him. They force him to the floor and begin beating him without mercy. It is at that moment that Xylo finally understands that proving his innocence is impossible. This trial was never meant to be fair. It was a setup from the very beginning. The judge then delivers the final sentence. Xylo is declared a penal hero. At that exact moment, Xylo makes a silent vow. He swears that one day he will find the people who set him and his holy knights up, and when he does, he will kill every last one of them. That was episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part and watch the next video on screen.
Take you out.